Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Investing Education. Today, we are going to look at is it good to float in the cloud? The reason for this is a lot of analysts and the industry talks about a shift towards system integrators, IT providers, and product companies moving their products towards cloud. We'll look in this episode what cloud means. So before I get there, please do hit the subscribe button. The YouTube channel looks like this with a logo like this. So please do hit the subscribe button and please leave your comments and thoughts below the video. Would appreciate that. Safe harbor statement, I'm not a financial advisor, so do your due diligence. I'm here to learn as much as you would love to learn from me. I would like to hear your comments. So please do put your comments and thoughts, and we'll go from there. What is cloud? Essentially, if you, I was trying to do an analogy from a drinking water perspective. So if you look at the first one, right? In good old days, they used to draw water from the well and take it to home, and then later we shifted by putting a pump which would pump the water from the well into the home, right? So that was in-house. A single owner could use it. It was self-usage, limited groundwater. As much water was existing in the well, you could draw that much. You have to maintain the well on your own, right? You have to cover the well with some kind of lid or something like that so that, you don't have dead birds and frogs and whatnot. There's an upfront cost to construct the well, so that is the capital expenditure owner had to spend, and the well was there was no ongoing maintenance costs. As if you had rains and the well captured the water, you could use that water. There was no cost. You were not paying any cost to anyone, right? So that was the first one. The second one is the community well, where you essentially, there would be a big well from where folks would go and draw the water, like similar to the in-house, but you draw the water and walk to your home, or if you can have a pump and pump it back to your home. The problem with this was the lack of ownership, right? It's a community well. Who owns it? Who maintains it? What's the cost of setting it up? Who's going to incur the cost? Typically, it was by the local government of the city. It's low or no cost for the consumer of the water, right? And then you have seen this in New York City, apartments, top of them you'll see these kind of tanks, and essentially this is multi-tenant, right? You have a lot of tenants living in an apartment complex. They draw the water from the tank, but somebody has to bring the water from some kind of a reservoir and pump that water into this tank, and then people consume that water, and they pay as part of the HOA, or they pay it as part of homeowners activity, right? Or you pay upfront costs to set up the tank, and then you have to maintain the tank to keep it clean and so on and so forth, right? So this is an hybrid model. And then we have this community shared model where you see these big tanks now as you drive around the cities. So essentially water is collected in a lake or pond. The water management company pretty much cleans up the water, pushes it via water pipes to these kind of tanks, which holds a large reservoir of water, and pumps it to your neighborhoods. And in the neighborhoods, multiple homes, multiple apartments, condos use that water. So the benefit for this is, one-time capex, and then once the tankages are set up, we pay as we go. We don't have to maintain. The homeowners don't have to maintain these water quality, water tankages, so on and so forth. What we pay is for what we use, and that's where the cloud is. The cloud technology is more towards this direction, and we'll see in the next slide how cloud looks like. Essentially, in the cloud model, there are three areas. So I'll present the same picture in different ways so that you get a good idea. The SaaS model is where software as a service. We are on web browser. You access Facebook, Twitter. You access your Google documents or Microsoft Office, or you're creating a TikTok video, all this happens in a web browser or a mobile application. That's the SaaS platform, software as a service. The layer below that is platform as a service, where the developers actually develop these kind of applications and launch it onto the web browsers or the mobile applications where you could access them, right? So that's where the platform sits. Essentially, there are different frameworks and different programming languages with which you could build your platform as a service. The bottom layer is infrastructure as a service, where you could do virtual infrastructure management. So when we access our office computer through a VPN, virtual private network, or we access like storage boxes like Dropbox or Box, they're kind of virtualized in the sense that they're available in the SaaS layer, but the infrastructure sits on the back end. And folks like Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, or Microsoft Azure, or Alibaba Cloud, all these guys have all these three layers, pretty much dominating the infrastructure layer and the PaaS layer, right? Most of the cloud providers are in this layer. Here in this, they allow you to compute, they allow you to store, they manage this firewall, security, load balancing, redundancy, failover, clustering, so on and so forth. What it means is, for example, when you're shopping during the Black Friday sale, the servers don't go for a retailer like Best Buy or Toys R Us. Is because they are hosted on cloud, and the cloud provider manages this two layers, the infrastructure layer and platform as a service layer, right? You see a few examples on the right side. It's a similar picture, but you see more examples on this side. You see Amazon, S3, Google, Microsoft, all these are cloud providers, and then you see a platform as a service. So you could build something on top of Microsoft, you could build something on top of Salesforce, Force.com platform, where I work and predominant in the Salesforce area. And then you have applications, the applications what we use. It could be like a HR application like Talio, or a Google Gmail, or it could be Microsoft Office, Outlook, or Microsoft Word, so on and so forth, right? So that's one view of it. The other view is, if you look at it from another viewpoint, is you have the networks on the bottom with which we connect, right? We can connect to a local area network, a wide area network. We heard about all these networks, right, in our good old days. And those networks are actually on cloud right now, and it can talk between your office network and home network and a cloud network using internet, right? So that's the first piece of it. And the layer above that is the computing infrastructure, where you have the physical and logical storage of your data and services and applications, so on and so forth. So this is the data infrastructure. You would have heard about data centers. So data centers are huge buildings housing a lot of physical service. And Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, Microsoft Azure, Alibaba, all these guys are into this play. On top of that sits the application layer, where one could build applications. That's where the database sits. You could have platform as a service, and that's this layer. And on top of that is application layer, which is essentially where you do your UX and UI applications like software services like Salesforce or ServiceNow, or any of those services talk to the bottom layer using web services. You might have heard something called APIs, application programming interfaces. So essentially, this layer talks to this backend layers using those kind of APIs and web services. On top of that is where the cloud clients are, essentially browsers, devices, mobile applications, right? So if you are on an iOS Apple phone, or a tablet, a Samsung Galaxy tablet, or an Android phone, you can either use a mobile application or a mobile browser that talks to these different layers. It's transparent to the consumer or a business user, but beyond the magic is all these layers that sit behind this, right? The other way to look at it is, I was thinking is, you have the package software on one side of it, which predominantly a business or a business manages that layer. And then you have the applications, data, middleware, and operating system and the infrastructure that one could manage and virtualize some of the storage and networking. And then in the platform as a service, you just manage the application and data. You control the data in terms of data integrity, data privacy, data redundancy, and then outsource the rest of the services to be managed by a cloud vendor. And then software is something one could be managed by the vendor. Essentially, like if you choose, let's say Google Docs or Google Appliance, and you can choose the entire stack from Google Cloud Platform, right? Or if you go with, say, Microsoft Office sitting on Amazon Web Services, that's a possibility as well. Or you can choose something like Amazon's AI or ML platform, and then use their storage and computing. Then you go with the AWS. So there are different combinations that you could work with. So that's in quick nutshell what cloud is all about. When folks talk about cloud, this is what they're saying, right? So they're talking about essentially three layers: software as a service, platform as a service, and infrastructure as a service. And there are a lot of players who play this stack horizontally and vertically. The next episode, we'll look at it, how that works. Thank you. And please do hit the subscribe button to my channel. Would appreciate your comments and the love that you show. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.